Boom, we're back. Another episode of Squeeze the Neck podcast. Today I got with me Patrick Hutchinson. Thanks for doing this, mate. Really appreciate it. Busy man. I've been chasing him around like I was Reese the other day, but we've got him. We've hunted him down and we're here. How's things, mate?
I said to myself, you've got Reese finally, so I thought, well, I'm going to have to succumb.
Sometimes you've got to do a bit of charity work, right?
Sometimes you've got to do
and he's come down. He put himself down. We were just chatting off before this started that I've known you, we said sort of 2016 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it flies by. So I know you're a big Chelsea fan, which we'll get into. From Battersea supports Man United, but we'll touch on that
Funny
later.
man. Okay, here we go.
No, but so obviously we met on jiu-jitsu mats, and we got chatting a lot because you've done sort of Muay Thai, you've done the whole shebang, a little bit like me, like played around with loads of different things and found your way to a mat eventually in the pajamas.
Yeah.
So tell me, mate, how did you start martial arts and when did you get into jiu-jitsu?
So I started martial arts at the age of 13, and I was sort of like raised by a single mother, and I never had no brothers. I've got brothers now, but I didn't know them at the time when I was younger. And, got into a few scrapes and was on my own. And I remember one particular time I got into a fight and I thought I was winning the fight. And next thing I know, the kid's on top of me, punching the living daylights out of me.
Yeah.
And his brothers were around watching, and people told me afterwards that his brothers had like put him on top. And then,
That was good of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was nice of them. But I never forgot that. I came in, ran upstairs in my room, bawling my eyes out. Mum was trying to speak to me. I didn't want to speak to him. The last thing I wanted at that point was a mum and a sister. I was thinking like, where's my dad? And I wish I had big brothers and stuff. And I was like really upset. And then I decided, right, I'm going to learn how to defend myself. And prior to that, I'd always been watching Kung Fu movies. I was a massive fan of Kung Fu films. Yeah. And I used to I had a catalogue of every single Kung Fu movie I'd watched. And I used to give them star ratings as well.
Is that right?
You name it.
Cool.
Yeah. I've watched hundreds of videos, Kung Fu movies. I don't know if your viewers are going to know what videos are.
I was going to say, there's some people
VHS?
watching are too young to know what a VHS is.
Yeah, VHS videos. I'm giving away my age here. And so I thought, okay, it's time to actually learn. And so I had a mate at school, secondary school, who did Taekwondo, and he was bloody good. And he was always kicking things and stuff. And I asked him to teach me some kicks. And then he started teaching me how to do, front kick, side kick, reverse turning kicks.
That's cool. That's like something out of a movie.
Yeah. And I started getting quite good at it, kicking the lampshades at home. Like,
Mum was pleased.
No, yeah, exactly, yeah. Breaking them. And then she took me off, right, you're going to go and do Taekwondo, which is exactly what I wanted.
That's what you wanted anyway.
And I went there and I started off, really, really well because obviously I had a little bit of coaching from my mate at school. So that was the journey. I got to blue belt, red tag. I didn't get to black belt in the end. I can't remember why. I think I just fell in love with Thai boxing, and then I started doing Thai boxing. But that's where it started. Age 13, Taekwondo.
And what sort of time frame are we talking here? Are we talking 70s?
Yeah. So okay, here we go. So
I'm outing you, but I don't mind outing your age because you look younger than I do. So whatever.
So I was born in 1970.
Yep.
So we're talking about 83, I guess. 82,
Brilliant.
83. Yeah, just sort of starting secondary
And
school.
obviously it's different in in terms of finding places. There's no internet. I'm assuming this is like a Yellow Pages job, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, for the young ones, anyone don't know what Yellow Pages is.
Black and white TVs, no, I'm not joking.
I was going to say horse and carts, but you beat me to the black and white TV thing. But yeah, so anyway, from there, mate, you've done Taekwondo, you're doing all your martial arts and whatnot. How did you eventually, obviously we jump and we fill in the blanks as we go along, but how did you eventually find yourself into, because I know you've trained in Thailand, done all that kind of stuff. How did you find your way to a jiu-jitsu mat?
Yeah, so I mean, I obviously did Thai boxing for many years, used to travel to Thailand. So with jiu-jitsu, I sort of stumbled across it. A friend of mine back in the day who trained, runs a class up in Norbury. I used to go to do weights there, and he'd have his class there. And every now and again he'd invite me in. I said, nah, it's all right. I'll bypass it. Look in there, see all these sweaty guys rolling around.
Rolling around the floor, not so appealing originally.
It's not for me, not for me. And then one day I finished my session and I knew he was going to ask me, and I felt quite yoked. The veins were popping, the muscles, I was a lot bigger back then. And I walked past the class and looked in, thinking I was going to intimidate someone. And he called me in, you want to come in? I said, yeah, okay, I'll come in. And man, I came out feeling the most vulnerable I've ever felt in my entire life, I felt like I've been walking around the streets of London thinking that I can take care of myself and thinking that, I know a bit of Thai boxing and, I can throw a few elbows and a few low kicks and hurt people. I never considered someone actually taking me down to the ground, with a rugby tackle possibly, and then beating me up on the ground. Never considered that. And after that, I just couldn't give it up because I just felt too vulnerable. I thought, I can't allow this to happen to me on the street. I can't allow someone to take me down and not know what to do. And so I stuck at it.
Yeah.
Never been the most consistent, but I've never give it up. I've kept at it.
And you're a handful. Listen, I've been on the mats with you. I know that. I felt that pressure. I felt that strength. So don't listen to any of this. Like, I'm not very consistent. I'm not very good nonsense that he's going to spout today. The man can do it. Trust me. And you're starting going through jiu-jitsu. This is all Newschool, right? We're all Newschool brand where we are today. Again, back in Newschool Brixton. But take me from meeting Reese and coming to Brixton.
So I started going to my friend's class up in Norbury for a bit, and then I came across Reese's profile on Instagram, and I saw this guy doing jiu-jitsu, and I thought, and he had like grime music in the background, or grime beats in the background, and he just had all this swagger, and he was just doing all this jiu-jitsu, but it was just different. Yeah. He was stepping over people, next thing you know, they're in a triangle, and I thought, who is this guy? Who is he? And then I found out he trained down at Newschool Battersea, so I went down there, started stalking him. And then started training down there for a bit, and then, but what they were doing there, as good, it's a really good club, but it wasn't what Reese was doing.
Yeah.
Like I wanted Reese's jiu-jitsu. I thought that's what I want to do, and I said, whenever you start a class, I want to train under you, And then I started doing early mornings with him down at Battersea.
Back in the day, that's when I would have met you because that was back in the day.
Early 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's right.
Down there.
That's right.
Drilling.
I found this on the web.
Oh, hello.
Brought
a guest with him.
And so, we were working on bits and bobs. My triangles are all because of Reese. He showed me how to do.
And Reese is a great one because obviously he's been on before. But for anyone who doesn't know, Reese is a lighter guy. Reese is slick and sort of plays the game the way it should be, really, right? He doesn't muscle anything. For anyone who's rolled with him, he'll feel incredibly strong, but it's technical based, right? He's not a heavy lump. Yeah. He does the things right. So when you found Reese and you're doing the Battersea early mornings things, and I was floating about a bit as well.
Yeah, and Ollie, I'd see Ollie as well.
Yeah, other Ollie
as well. Yeah. And then from that, then I went off for a bit, and I wasn't there. That's what I talk about, my inconsistency.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how I found out. Reese may have messaged me and told me he was starting up his class, and then he started up at Norbury where I was originally.
Oh right, okay. So he was teaching there. So we're going still. This is pre-pandemic type situation, right?
Yeah. He was up there for a bit, and then from there I joined up and started training with him there. Then he moved to obviously Street Gym.
Yeah.
And I've followed him there, and then now he's Brixton Hill.
Now we're in the home.
Yeah.
Where are you from originally, mate? We're jumping around all over the shop, but where'd you Battersea, I think, right?
Yeah. I grew up in Battersea. I was born in Coventry.
Okay.
But I grew up in Battersea. We lived in Brixton for a bit, and then we moved from Brixton to Battersea.
Yeah, nice. So jumping all over the place from Coventry. What was in Coventry? Was your parents were living there? I take it at the time.
Just my mum. She was from Coventry.
Uh-huh.
But Coventry never. She didn't think there was much prospects up there at the time, and then she, literally. I think I moved to London when I was about 4 years old. Yeah. So I never even went to school.
Oh, so you've only known London, really? You don't remember
Coventry.
Yeah, I got you. All right, mate. Well, so from there, we're into our jiu-jitsu and whatnot. But let's jump about a little bit because this is typically how I do these. I don't plan them so much. You just have a chat and try and make it as entertaining for anyone watching as we can. What do you do for a living? Because I know you've got your supplement companies going on now. Obviously, other stuff when you can tell me the story of it. And we'll get to it.
So I spent about 25 years working in the city of London, corporate, IT, investment banks, project management, all that.
It's a proper job,
stuff.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
proper job.
Got disheartened with it about the age of 40. Just couldn't do it anymore. Opportunities weren't, unless you're buddies with the senior management and went out for drinks with them on a Thursday and a Friday, you were going to sort of be bypassed. Yeah. So I just thought I've had enough of this. So I became a personal trainer because people would always say, "Oh, you know what? You should be a." They used to ask me, "Are you a personal trainer?" I said, "No." I said, "You should be because you look fit and you whenever we train and stuff, you always sort of take the lead and you should be a personal trainer." So I thought, okay. So when I left working in the city, I did a certification, and that was it. I became a personal trainer. I tell you what, that anatomy. Anybody that's a personal trainer out there, I know we've got some of the guys at the club who are personal trainers like PT Josh, Yanks, and them guys. they'll tell you the anatomy physiology exam. I tell you, it's like being a junior doctor.
Yeah.
It's mad. It's mad.
Yeah.
So I failed it a couple of times.
Did you?
Yeah. And then when I took it seriously, then I passed it. But
Well, I'll tell you, I'm a personal trainer too, right? And when I did my qualification, this is kind of showing my age a little bit too now. Do you remember 118? 118 got your number. I was in an exam, and I'm sitting there, and I thought, fuck, I don't know this one. Got the phone out, the old-fashioned Nokia, had a little text. What is the blah blah muscle connected to the thing? And it's come back in my pocket. I'm God, fuck it. I wrote down a few answers like that when I was doing the PT exam. So I kind of got away with one there. But
wicked.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't think about that actually.
Yeah, when did you qualify as PT? Do you know what time frame?
It's probably been about 8 years or so.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, about 8 years.
And where are you working when you qualified as PT, mate? Was you in the gym?
I've always worked independently by myself.
Yeah.
Always worked for myself. Never really liked the renting situation in gyms and that. I don't know. It seemed a little bit unfair.
Yeah.
To say the least. So I've always worked for myself.
Yeah, I got you. I always work for myself. I did a few times in Canary Wharf and Farringdon paying rent to gyms, and I had the city boy types up there, but it gets old real quick, doesn't it? You know, they want to come in, especially boxing background, they come in for pads and stuff. It gets old quick, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, going in studios and whatnot was always the way for me.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a personal trainer by trade, but since 2020, well, no, we're probably going to get into that, but I've sort of, my life has changed a bit, so I've sort of become a little bit of a public figure, and so because of that, I do lots of charitable type work. I'm an ambassador for numerous children's, initiatives and CICs and charities that work for the sort of like empowerment and betterment of children. Like, so I've got like, there's the Hope Collective, Rio Ferdinand Foundation, Open University, Black Student Support Fund. There's quite a few of them, and I'm an ambassador for them. That takes up a lot of my time. That's not paid work. They pay for expenses, etc., but I don't get paid for that. And then I do, a bit of public speaking type stuff with corporates. That's where I get paid. I do a lot of stuff with schools and colleges and stuff. And then I guess I call that my side hustle.
Yeah. And how is that? Is that enjoyable? Is that like a passion thing?
Yeah. Listen, I don't actually mind. I do enjoy talking to children and working with young people more.
Oh, when you say kids, what sort of age are we talking? We sort of teenagers, or is it all sorts?
Primary school age, right?
Oh, really?
To,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine that's quite difficult, right? Talking to primary school kids, keeping their attention.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how you do it, but my story is quite intriguing and stuff. So
just like take your shirt off and be like, now what, bitch?
So I do a bit of that, which I do enjoy doing that. And then obviously I have my, I class that as my side hustle, because it's not something that I can do throughout the year consistently and bring in lots of money. And then I sell supplements. So I have a supplements brand, Phkind.
Phkind, shout out Phkind.
www.phkind.com.
And Instagram, we are Phkind, right?
Yeah,
we'll stick it all in the descriptions below.
And so we sell, high quality, super strength supplements. And we've got omega-3, we've got gut health, we've got mind health, we have recovery, we have immunity and energy, and we have male health. And we are probably going to move more towards possibly a male-dominated, like they say you need to niche because the supplements market is massive.
Yeah.
And, when you do everything, you'll probably get a little bit of the market, but you have the competitors out there, your Vitabiotics and stuff, who I have to say are nowhere near as good as us.
I was going to say, there's a load of shit out there as well, isn't there? And people take supplements too, which you'll probably inform me more when they don't really know what they're doing.
They don't really know.
And the reason I bring it up is because I recently, which we spoke about supplements, and I was going to get back to you. And the reason I haven't is more, I did a methylation test recently, so like a DNA test and whatnot, to sort of get specific. And it's amazing, like the amount of things that they tell you, like for my body specifically. Yeah. And then you go, fuck, I've wasted a lot of time with different supplements, right? So it's like,
I knew that sounds interesting. I might have to.
Yeah, we'll talk after, but it's one of them like. When you start taking supplements and you've got a firm that's like, you said, like the male health, all this kind of stuff, when you get more specific, it's a big difference, isn't it? You do notice a difference, and it's something people should definitely look into, so definitely check out Phkind.
Phkind. But I think we are going to niche down, because I think that's where people do better. When you niche, like for example, if you were just speaking to pregnant women, for example, you have your niche, and no one else can take that from you. No. Whereas when you're not doing a niche like that, you're you're sort of out there in the big wide world, and it's difficult to sort of catch the fishes. So we're going to probably niche right down into male health. We have one male health product, which is for prostate health. And it takes care of your urinary tract, your prostate health. For those that don't know much about prostate health, it's that walnutty thing that
a lot of men don't want to talk about that one. They definitely don't want to test.
It's massively important, and as you get older, once you get to like say 45, you really notice a difference in your toilet habits, etc., etc. Right, so it's really important to take a supplement that can help with the inflammation of your prostate, and that's what the male health supplement that we have does. And your prostate actually starts to enlarge once you get to about 25 years old.
Jesus, I'm in trouble, bro.
But it's a slow process. It doesn't get massive overnight. But it actually starts at about 25. That's slowly getting larger.
Testosterone past 40, they say, you probably know more than me, but when you get to 40, apparently your testosterone starts to slowly, which can, for any men, that can massively fuck up your health down the road, can't it?
Yeah, it can. And so these are the things that we want to sort of niche down on. We want to create supplements for male fertility to help with male fertility, because we know all the natural ingredients that you need for that. We want to help male with like erectile dysfunction and stuff, because all that stuff is really prevalent. Another thing men don't like talking about, but
you're damn right.
It's out there. So we think if we niche down in these areas, we'll probably be better off rather than sort of being out there selling everything to everyone.
Yeah. And what's the goal with it, mate? Do you want to get sort of worldwide and global and sort of?
I want to be in North America, West Africa, Dubai, I don't just want it here.
And America's a good one. I don't know if you've been to
America.
America.
Supplements in America.
Mate, when you go to America, if you speak to someone about the supplements, you forget it. You'll be there for half an hour. They're telling you everything they take.
They love the supplements in America, so that would be a good market.
Massive market
to get.
Well. And it's almost like loads of different countries in America as well, isn't it? If you go to different parts, you wouldn't even think they're speaking the same language, would you? And like in terms of the views on the world, everything is completely different.
Different state is a different country, basically.
100%, big time.
The place is huge. I mean, I was reading the other day, it's about 380 million people in America.
Yeah, it's a
something
lot
like that. 380 million people, and apparently there's more guns than people.
Yeah.
So
it's a whole other topic, that one.
How many guns? Yeah, like loads.
Yeah. But it's a culture thing too, like not to harp on about America. But when you're in America, I was in Boulder, Colorado, just before the pandemic hit, and I was in with just an Uber driver, just chatting, bullshitting, really funny fella, like big personality. And he was talking about guns. You don't have no guns in England, blah. I was like, no, blah blah. We chatted away about it, and I said, "Well, do you own guns then?" He went, "Man," he said, "I've got a shotgun in the trunk right now." I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well," and he kind of like fumbled over. He was like, "Well." Didn't have an answer for me. He was like, well, we just do. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's a wild place if you go to the right spots, isn't it? But anyway, bring us to 2020, mate, because this is, you said, this is a big life change for you. And for anyone who doesn't know, tell them what went on.
Yeah, so in 2020, I got caught in a moment that went viral. There was a picture taken of me carrying a geezer on my shoulder, let's say, right? And this picture went viral globally. I got interviewed in America, in Australia, Caribbean, you name it. South Korea, you name it. I got interviewed, and it sort of changed my life. And what happened is that I had gone down to the Black Lives Matter demonstrations with a group of friends on the day, and the idea, we weren't really going to demonstrate because we were a bit older than the youngsters, but we thought we'd go down there and sort of be overseers and try to make sure that things didn't get out of hand, because we knew that there were going to be a lot of football hooligans going down on that day, and some far right guys, etc. And I grew up anyway around the National Front times, and spent a lot of my time either fighting with them or running from them when I was outnumbered. And so I knew what it can be like, and so I thought that I'm not going to just leave any women and children to just be there demonstrating, not realizing what potentially could happen. And so we all went down there with a view to just being some older, more experienced heads of the community, just overseeing, making sure the youngsters didn't do anything silly, because when you're together in a group, you can do things you might regret later. You get caught up in the herd mentality. And so that's why we were there. And it just so happens that particular moment, some of these football hooligans were fighting with the BLM demonstrators. They'd been abusing the demonstrators, and there was a big altercation at the top of the stairs, which is next to the Royal Festival Hall near Waterloo. Big altercation going on, but these football hooligans, far right guys, they're outnumbered, and they run off, and they leave one guy by himself, and he's like, like stumbling around. He's clearly like intoxicated, he doesn't know what's going on, and this Rastafarian guy sees him and starts holding him up and tries to carry him tries to get him down the stairs and get him to the police before everybody realizes, and it's too late. Like he's halfway down the stairs with this man, and the BLM demonstrators see him and they set on him, and the next thing you know, you can't see him. You can see the Rasta guy standing there like a bit bemused, thinking, shit, fuck, where's he gone? And this guy's clearly on the floor on the staircase, and God knows what's going on there. So we see it from a distance, and we rush over there, and we're pulling people by the collars of their necks to get them out of the way, so we can see. And then like I see him lying in like the fetal position on a stair with some like blood pouring from his head. And I look around, I see the police, and I think, you know what, I could carry him over there, So I didn't say it to anybody. I just stooped down, and next thing you know, I stand up and emerge with this man on my shoulder. And then like some guys around me, sort of trying to protect me as I'm walking. And as I'm walking, walking with him, you can still feel him getting some digs. I can feel my body shuddering under the impact, because people are starting to get their last of their digs in before carrying him to safety. And at first, there's a lot of boos, and there's some people shouting "Fed, Fed, Fed, Fed," like making reference to me, obviously. But then the minute I get out of that main melee, there's lots of shouts and cheers and claps, and like that filled me with some euphoria. And I managed to be able to get him out of there, because I tell you, I reckon he was about 18 to 20 stone of dead weight.
Was he big man? Yeah.
He was a big man, and he was dead weight because he was out of it. He didn't know what was happening, so I had all of his weight. And so I really needed the cheers and the claps. I really needed them, just to get him over to the police. Yeah. And I carried him over to the police officer, and he must have said to me, like, I think he said something like, well done, you did a good thing there. And about 5 minutes later, the paramedics were seeing to him. Yeah. And I tell you that I'm an advocate. I mean, my main staple mate of my workouts are squats. Been doing them for years. Arse the grass, proper light squats. I do like my deadlifts, and I do my walking lunges. Weighted walking lunges. And I know it's those exercises that got me to be able to stoop down, pick him up, and then walk with that.
Could have been a different image if you were struggling to pick him up and falling on him.
Can you imagine how embarrassing that would have been? Or even fall over with him.
Yeah, fall over with him would have been the worst one.
So yeah.
Because that could have been spun, couldn't it? If you fell down the stairs with him, God. You've just speared him down the stairs and joined him with the herd.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
that's what it was. Because that was a mad one for me. Like, obviously, I've known you a few years before that, and then I saw that was everywhere, wasn't it? That famous photo, which everyone I'm sure knows, the famous photo of you with him on your shoulder, and it was like one of them deals where you look at it and you go, "Nah, that's not my guy. Surely no, he wouldn't do that. No, but of course it was."
It's always an interesting question I ask anybody that talks about it. Like, when you first saw it, did you know it was me? Because it's about 50-50. Half the people say, yeah, straight away. As soon as I saw it, knew it was you. And the other half think, no, I didn't know it was you.
No,
until someone else told me it was you.
Well, it wasn't someone told me. I saw it, and then I saw it again and again and again. And when you've seen it about 5 or 6 times, you go, no, that is Patrick. I'm sure that's Patrick. Do you know what I mean? And it is what it is, isn't it? And it builds from there. And then obviously you said your life changed from there. Yeah. But obviously you're unaware of this at the time, right? You're just doing the right thing and carrying the guy out.
Yeah, I mean, like, when you watch back, there is footage online and stuff, and you can see cameras clicking away, like people that actual photographers with their cameras just holding their cameras up. Yeah. People with their phones. Like, I guess I should have known better, really, that was you couldn't do something like that and get away with it.
No, yeah.
But the actual picture, the iconic one, that sort of catches me, like looking like it was easy. Yeah. The actual picture looks like it's easy, I'm just got, but it wasn't. Yeah, of
course not. No. Especially with all the craziness that's going on around it too.
That was done by a chap called Dylan Martinez. Mm-hmm. We're really good mates. Yeah, good
that's
friends.
Cool. Yeah. And how about the guy that you picked up and carried? Have you ever had any contact with him after? Have you ever heard anything from him?
We've never met. We've never spoken.
That's mad, that, isn't it?
Yeah, never met, never spoken.
I suppose he don't want to be like
I don't know. Like lots of people have all different theories,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to speculate.
No, of course.
But I'm sure he's happy that I did it because he's able to enjoy his family.
Yeah.
Because if I hadn't done that, who knows what would have happened to him.
Yeah. It probably wasn't a good outcome for him, was it?
I don't think it would have been. I mean, I can't say exactly what would have happened, but I definitely know it wouldn't have been good.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, you see in the photos, obviously, like, I didn't see it the way you saw it, but he don't look too well when you're carrying him, does he? No. So if you'd left him alone, I'm sure he would have been.
And not even just for him, even like those youngsters. There'd have been some incarcerations going on for whatever potential manslaughter.
Yeah.
The Black Lives Matter movement would be trashed.
Of course,
because they killed a man on their watch. Like there'd have been a lot of fallout from that. Moment. So I'm sort of glad that I had the sort of the whereabouts to do what I did on that day. And
it's
you've
been doing squats for years befororand.
Say that again.
And you'd been doing
my squats prepared. Yeah, prepared for that moment. Like I knew I needed those squats.
That was God's way of putting it in your life and saying, hey.
Yeah. Yeah, but you just don't know, do you? Like what's around the corner?
No.
When you might be needed for a moment, and that was my moment. And there's one thing is I'm not the kind of person that's going to sort of stand and watch things happen.
Yeah.
Because listen, I know he was there on the day for the wrong reasons, and I know he might have been a bit of a wrong end, but I'm still not going to stand by and watch 200 people kick the shit out of one person.
And that can change his view on things for positives, can't it? Which is obvious, but it's like, if he goes away from there and he gets a kicking, all his mates ain't too pleased about the Black Lives Matter movement, are they? But then, you saved him, you have saved him, haven't you? You brought him out of there. I'm assuming, unless he's a complete wrong un, that his views on things have changed as well, right?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I did get a few messages. I got a few messages, but from accounts, nobody, no face, no nothing.
Yeah.
But saying, do you know what I mean? Good on you. I'm done with this life, type of thing. What you've done is show me a different way, and that's nice. Yeah. Of all the messages, I mean, listen, over the years between now and when it happened, and I still get messages. I've had hundreds of messages, but those are the ones that really stand out.
Yeah,
those people that you think you might have changed. Yeah, the way that they see things, the way that they
and especially with you and the fella, you're both grown men. Do you know what I mean?
We're both granddads. He was a granddad as well.
Right? Yeah, and but you can get silly kids that are sort of 18, like you said. They just get caught up in it. They don't know what they're doing. They don't mean it, do they? And they're tarnished with that forever, don't they?
Yeah, and like if you've been raised like that way, then it's not your fault.
Exactly. It's not your fault.
You don't know any better, do you? So it's about for me now. It's about teaching the children, our young people and children, the right from wrong, and having a more diverse and inclusive society amongst our children. Because if you're living in an environment that is racist, discriminative, and you're a child, you don't stand a chance.
And it ain't your fault either.
And it's not your fault. But if you're in a school or in other environments that are teaching you something different, then you've got something to come home and say, actually, Dad or Mum, I don't think what you're saying is right. Yeah. And I'm going to question what you're saying. Yeah. And that does happen. Because I've had little children come up to me and say, "Sir, what do I do? I know my mum is racist. What do I do? What do I do?"
Isn't it? That's a hard situation.
It's difficult. Yeah.
Because what you're going to do, you can't stand there just criticising their mum either, can you? It's like, and especially this day and age with social media and whatnot now, you can nip that stuff in the bud, I think, with people like yourself, can't you? You go around, you give them the right education. Yeah. They don't even entertain the idea because they,
Yeah, you've got to start with the children, because if we start with the children and the young people, then eventually we'll get to a place.
And especially in a place like where we are, London, right? We've grown up with people of all different colours, right? So like if you're getting that education and your best mate's black, white, anything in between,
there you go.
It dies out.
It dies out eventually, or be a really, 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 really small minority.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And as time goes on, that small minority just gets looked at as stupid, doesn't it? Yeah. And it dies out even more. Yeah. But this was 2020 as well, so this is in the height of was this like lockdown times?
It was during lockdown. Yeah. COVID was prevalent, man. In fact, COVID had sort of just, I think at the beginning of 2020, COVID started, didn't it?
March, everything went nuts. March 20 something, wasn't it?
I think there was back end of 2019, right? The back end, like December, there was some. You were hearing rumours of cases in China or something going on.
It was not
January,
here.
February, March. That's when 2020 is when it started. Well,
I'll tell you what I had. I was in America in February, just before it all went nuts here. So I'm chatting to people that are my friends, and they locked down a week to the day before we did, where I was. Right. And they was like, "Bro, it's nuts. We can't go out." And it was still at the point here where you're looking at the message and going, ain't gonna happen here. We're not gonna shut everything. They was like, we can't go to the convenience store. We're not allowed to go and visit our neighbour. Nothing. It was like complete. But it was still to us was like, But then fast forward a week, and then we're in the middle of whatever.
Shit. Do you remember? Italy. It was mayhem in Italy, and we were like, they were in front of us.
Yeah.
And we didn't take much heed of what was happening there, did we? And then
and Italy feels a bit more real, doesn't it, in terms of where it is? Because Japan and China, where it was going crazy, and they was talking about the Olympics, because the Olympics was that year in Japan, it just seemed like too far away to have to worry about, well, to me anyway. And but when it was Italy, and people have got family in Italy and all kinds of stuff, there was a guy in the gym, his brother lived in Italy and travelled to China for work, so he was like in the thick of it and all this business. Like, so he was completely fucked. But it was like... it was still out there, wasn't it? It was still until it came here. But take us through that, mate. When was this, the Black Lives Matter thing, when was this in terms of lockdown and stuff? Because we was fully locked down from memory,
We were fully locked down. That's why in the picture I've actually got a mask on.
That's right, yeah.
It's sort of coming off my face. But I'm actually wearing a mask. But it was just during COVID. It was in June the 13th, Saturday. And it was just around 5 in the evening it happened.
just a normal Saturday.
Just a normal Saturday, yeah.
But was there any ramifications in terms of like the COVID patrol that sort of like?
No, like people weren't supposed to be in massive groups and stuff like that.
But it was allowed because it was demonstration or something, right? Or protests?
I don't even know if it was allowed. I don't even know. Like people just didn't give a shit.
Just did.
Like people were like, I mean, you've got to remember, like it was only. I'm just trying to think. It was only like a month or two after George Floyd, and that's the main reason.
That's when it all kicked off.
That's when it all kicked off, and that's the main reason I went. Because as well, when I decided to go, I was thinking when I was at home and I watched, George murdered on the television. I saw it, the guy kneeling in his neck, hands in his pocket.
And if you watch the prolonged video too,
nonchalant,
it's quite graphic, isn't it? Here we go.
Bloody what? Shut up.
AI, we were better off years ago.
It was. It was probably one of the worst things I've seen on television, and I brought a tear to my eye when I watched. And then he's calling for his mum, and this guy's got his knee kneeling down on his neck, hands in his pocket, looking at the camera like he didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And like his fellow officers were all complicit. None of them like tried to pull him off or say, "Listen, mate, that's too much." And
it was all quite calm from memory watching the video in terms of the police. It was like there was no big deal in it. They was just kind of getting on with things, and it was almost like a weird video for me. You tell what you think of like it was almost like surreal where one bloke's obviously in trouble and everyone around him sort of no one's making a scene. It was a bit of a mad one.
Yeah, I think obviously because you've got the gun situation in America, right? So people are obviously scared.
It's a different
to do anything. And I mean, they were all saying like you're killing him and
we passed out for a while as well before he got off him.
but no one was actually doing anything. And I don't know, I think I probably would have got shot. Yeah. Because I think I wouldn't have been able to watch that.
If you was there, you mean?
Yeah, I think I would have probably got shot.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Because it was that horrible, that horrific, that you've got to live with this stuff for the rest of your life. That's how I see it. And that's why when I picked him up in the way I did, like, if I know I can do something and I'm not going to do it, I've got to live with that for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
and then had I not done that and the worst had happened, I'd always be thinking, I could have saved him.
You could have saved him, yeah.
I could have saved him. I don't have to worry about that, now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like with George Floyd, I think I would. Some of those people probably might feel guilty, like that they didn't do more.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not easy. It's easier said than done, to be honest.
I think it makes a difference when you're in a situation when you can help too, right? Yeah. If you're sort of a lady in her 60s that can't necessarily help. Do you know what I mean? It's a different mindset, innit? But for you watching this guy down, if you can help, you got to help.
You got to try and help. Yeah, I mean, and I think we just need to, in society, we need more of that.
Yeah.
There's strength in numbers, isn't there? Mm-hmm. And I think people need to understand that. All it takes is one of you to do the right thing, and then others will help as well.
Yeah.
But someone's got to take the lead.
They have, yeah.
Otherwise, we're all standing around watching.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had nothing anywhere near what you did at all, but I had a situation once. I was walking down the high street somewhere, and there was a grown man chasing some boys for whatever reason. And everyone does that, don't they? Just acts like, and again, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I jumped in for him and sort of stuck it on the man, and I think he thought about it. And then realised it wasn't a good idea.
He looked at your ears.
Well, exactly,
looked at your ears,
crooked nose, mashed up face. But I think he realised it was like, I was going to defend these boys.
Yeah,
I didn't know them. I just saw them running.
yeah.
They was about 13. Do you know what I mean? Like kids, too young to be getting riding off a grown man.
Yeah.
And he decided, like, I'll walk away and left it. But the thing that stuck with me when you say if I didn't do anything about that, everyone around, there was loads of grown men there, and they was just looking at the phone, pretending they didn't see it. And I just thought, the fuck is wrong with people? Yeah. You was going to watch it, like it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Do you know what I mean? These boys were going to get, you know. Anyway, but
that's the thing, man. It's unfortunate. People are scared. People are scared, man. And this is why we do what we do, because it does give you an air of confidence. I'm not saying that you're going to jump in and intervene in every and anything. You have to obviously put your safety first. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not a person just going to stand and watch shit happen, man, without having some kind of input.
But then, to me, that should be the norm. The problem is that ain't, and that people look at that and go, wow. You know, look, obviously you did a great thing, and the high profileness of it was amazing. It should be the norm, shouldn't it? It should be the norm.
And it's something I've always done. I mean, I just happened to get caught on
you would have done it if no one was watching.
But I've been doing this sort of stuff all my life.
Exactly,
this is who I am as a person.
Yeah.
And it just happens this particular day I got caught on camera. But I've always done this type of thing. You know, when I was at school, I befriended the kids that no one liked or no one was friends with. You know, I was their friends. Yeah. Because I don't know what it is. I think it's probably a lot to do with my mum. I think. You know? Yeah. But it's just who I am.
And that's a good thing, man. But anyway, I know you're busy, so I won't keep you too long. We'll wrap it up shortly. But before we do, let's finish on a lighter note. Let's talk about some of the fights, the UFC, because I know you're a UFC fan, right?
Yeah.
We spoke loads. You obviously multi-disciplined martial artist, we're into it. I keep saying this on here, so if anyone's listening, comment, tell me shut up, that's fine. Alex Pereira. Tell me about this. I'm like a bit of a fanboy of him now, and I want to see him go to heavyweight. And I do think, before I say it, I do think John Jones is the greatest of all time.
Yeah, me too.
But I do want to see him fight him. Tell me.
I think if John Jones fights Powhatan, as long as he's I think one thing with John Jones people don't realise or people don't speak enough about is his fight IQ. Yeah. He's super intelligent from a fighting perspective. Yeah. And he breaks everything down. So there's no way he's going to go in there and stand and bang with Powhatan because he'll get knocked out.
And what other people don't talk about, because he's so great as a fighter, is he's nasty as they come as well.
And he's mean. Yes, and he's got that nasty streak in him.
Proper.
He's going to take him down.
Yeah.
Right? And he's going to do whatever he needs to do on the ground. That's how he's going to. That's how he beats him.
Well, here's what I think, right? And I'm jumping about a bit, but before John Jones fought Cyril Gane and won the heavyweight title, I was banging the drum for Khabib being the greatest of all time. I was like, he's so dominant, he's the best, smother style, blah, blah, blah. But then when I saw that fight, you know when you just go,
wow. Yeah.
I mean, to me, at that point, it was like, you can't really argue anymore. That's the guy. Do you know what I mean?
That really, as much as I'm a John Jones fan, I also like Cyril Gane.
Yeah, I did,
And I was so disappointed. Yeah. And I thought to myself, I want to see that run back again, because it's like, I'm sure he could do that again. Like, could he do that again? Like,
it was just so easy.
Did he make a mistake and then he just capitalised on it? But John Jones hadn't fought for how long before that fight?
3 years.
3 years. Yeah. How do you come back after 3 years out?
New weight class as
well. And do that to Cyril? I mean, Cyril Gane is no mug. He's like a top class fighter. If
he didn't fuck up against Francis Ngannou falling on a heel, he would have probably beat him. And then John Jones just beat him. I've said it again, I'm repeating myself, but he beat him the way I would grab a hold of a 12-year-old. And we
haven't seen him since.
Thanks. Yeah, no.
He should have fought.
He was supposed to win. He hurt his pec, so he's had 2 surgeries since. So he was lined up to fight Stipe, and then he injured his pec a few weeks before the fight, so he's out. And they're lining that one back up again. And that's why we got an interim champion in Aspinall and all that business.
Aspinall's a bloody good fighter.
Dangerous guy. Dangerous guy. There's loads of good things going up there. That's why I want to see Powhatan put in there it's like a wild card, isn't it? Like let him, and to go for 3 belts as well. Yeah, this is magic stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, his power is ridiculous, isn't it? Like he just touches people.
I apologise for keep repeating myself, but there's a photo of him going around with Tyson Fury. Have you seen it? There's a photo.
Powhatan?
Just next to him, just posing. There's a photo next to him. But I'm talking like the size. Yeah. He ain't that much smaller. No. He's got a bigger head. He's got bigger hands.
His hands are probably bigger. His hands are massive.
And he looks like he's a little bit shorter than Tyson Fury. Yeah. Fuck, how he ever made 84 kilos? I don't know. Because, anyway, I keep repeating myself about fight, but I've got to see that fight. I've got to see him go to heavyweight. That's what I want to do. I want to see him fight Ankalaev, which I think he gets rid of. And people are going, the wrestling. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll get rid of Ankalaev.
Yeah, I think so as well. But, you can't let... He's got to fight his fight, though. He can't let the guy take him down or anything. He's got to dominate.
I just think he's in a zone right now where he's so confident, so cool. Yeah. I think it's his time. So, which is why I want to see him get there. But before we wrap up, I can't let you go without talking about football. Because, as I said at the start, this is a man from Battersea who supports Man United. Help me.
Okay, so here's the thing. So I never had my dad growing up, right? So what I did have was had uncles, right? My uncles were from the Caribbean, right? Jamaica, to be Pacific, right? And anyone in Jamaica, who do they support? Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool. Right? Okay, see, watch here. Right,
out of the way.
Right? Yeah. So we support those three teams, yeah?
Is that right? Okay.
Right? Because they're the most well-known teams, right? And so my uncle supported Man United. He was the only male role model I had in my life, and I supported Man United because he made me support Man United, so I supported Man United. That's it. Yeah. It's like having a dad and you support the team your dad supports, I guess. Once I realised you should support your local team, then I started to change. But the problem was, when I was younger, and I've told you a little bit about this story, I got chased by the Chelsea headhunters, right? Who were a bit of a racist faction back in the day. And I realised there was a couple of them that lived on my estate. So I didn't like Chelsea, right? And that was the main team, like, for where I lived.
But this could be like an intervention, like live on camera. We could get you a Chelsea shirt.
No, but I'm actually good with Chelsea now because Canaville, I'm good mates with Paul Canaville.
Paul Canaville,
yeah.
I said to you this before. I actually met him once at an FA Cup final. He was a funny fella.
I'm good mates with Paul Canaville. So like, me and Chelsea are good now. And
nice.
Obviously we're talking about Drogba, Sen, and all these guys now.
So like, hard times since then.
Things have changed now, so I'm good with Chelsea. But back then, I had issues with Chelsea, so therefore I wouldn't support them. So the minute I moved to Croydon, Fulton Heath, and I lived there for about 15 years.
Crystal Palace area,
and then I following Palace.
Oh, you did? Okay. So
Palace,
I didn't know this.
Palace would be my sort of Palace and Man U are my teams. Do you know what I mean?
But seeing as we're on camera,
Coventry, because I was born in Coventry.
The other C that plays in blue would be fine, mate. We're on camera. Not today.
But I'm cool with Chelsea.
We're cool with
Me
Chelsea.
and Chelsea are cool.
Yeah, man. I've got a spare ticket for a game coming up, mate.
Have
Maybe we'll reimburse you and we get you over. We get you over at Chelsea. But Patrick, that was a fun one, mate. I really appreciate you doing this.
No, man, no worries, man.
Really appreciate it. Many more rolls on the mat. You're pulling me off with your strength.
Yeah, like this guy, man. Like, it's so frustrating when you roll with people like Ollie, because I don't know what it is. It's like certain people, right? You roll with. With you, I think to myself, "Oh, yeah, I'm doing okay," and then the tide just turns. I don't know what it is you do. I don't know if you lull me into a false sense of security or what it is, but like I feel like I'm doing okay, holding my own, and then next thing you know, all hell breaks loose, and then it just all goes to pot.
I think he's being kind to me because this is my podcast. He's lying.
So I don't know, like with certain people, I know straight away. Oh God, it's a nightmare. But with you, I feel okay. I'm doing okay, and then it just goes sideways. I don't know.
I appreciate you saying that, man.
Do you do that? Do you let me? You deliberately let me have a little bit to give me a bit to build up my confidence, and then say, okay, mate.
No is the short answer. No is the short answer. But I do definitely certain positions. I'll put myself two positions with people to try and figure out if I can get to where I want to from this position. Because you know my style, I'm quite wrestling heavy. So rather than just go straight for a double leg and blah blah blah, I try and put myself in a bad spot to sort of tease the idea, and then can I work from here and see if it works.
That makes sense. So that's why I feel like I'm doing okay.
And especially against people like you, which we're sitting down, so you won't be able to see. Patrick's a specimen enough. So if he grabs a hold of you, you know he's grabbed a hold of you. So then if a technique works with a man like that, the technique works and it's good to go. So I'll always try and put myself in spots. As I said, you're probably the strongest man I've rolled with also. So seeing as we're both patting each other on the back, I'll keep you in rolls with it.
Old man strength, I guess.
We go from there.
I mean, myself and Paul, shout out to Paul. We're the oldest in the club, you know. Paul's...
And both got you blue belts in the last year or so, right? Or maybe more than that now.
And I got a couple stripes. Yeah, I got a couple stripes. A few weeks back as well.
Purple belt.
So
purple belts on the horizon.
Man. Purple belts coming.
Yeah,
you know,
that'd be good.
So
one day black belt.
Yeah, one day.
One day black belt and tight round your head.
At my rate, though, with my 1 day a week, we're talking probably like. I don't know, another like 15 years.
Well, we'll figure it out. We get there. You know, I mean, you definitely don't look like you're getting any older. Jesus Christ.
I'll be the oldest black belt.
That could be a nice one, couldn't it? An older black belt. But the thing is, it don't count so much for you because people won't realise you're old. You know, when you see these clips of these old men that are sort of like old and decrepit, and they've got a black belt, you just go like, oh, bless him, he's a black belt and he's old. But for you, they just go, yeah, it's a black belt, so what?
I find that like when people that I speak to about jiu-jitsu and that do jiu-jitsu and they're sort of my age, they're all black and brown belts.
Yeah.
There's not many.
But you roll with them.
White and blue. I've rolled up with a few here and there.
And I'm assuming you do pretty well.
I do okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Right,
don't worry about the colour too much.
But yeah, not too many like white and blues at 50 plus.
Yeah, I got you.
These guys have been doing it. Like anybody that's 55 and does jiu-jitsu is normally like a brown or a black belt because they've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the journey. I want to compete. I do want to do. I have said to myself, I've got to do worlds at least one time. I don't know what belt it's going to be. I can't say because blue. Right now, I'm too busy to put the work in training wise. But I would love to travel with Reese and Ollie one day to wherever and do like a world's masters one day.
Yeah.
Maybe at purple, maybe blue. I don't know.
Maybe black.
But yeah, maybe it could be black. But one day I want to just do at least one world.
That'd be cool, man. Yeah. Have you competed at all in jiu-jitsu yet?
Yeah.
You've done. I was going to say you did quite a few. Right?
I've done. I competed a bit at white. I've done a couple comps at blue.
Nice.
I've got a few golds and silvers, but mainly golds. I've done all right.
I only mentioned the golds. They're the only ones.
But I'm just trying to get my jiu-jitsu to a certain level because, like, a lot of the guys at my age, when they roll, they're all kind of the same. They're very wrestling orientated, very brawn, a lot of brawn, a lot of physicality, lots of strength. So I want to sort of be the antidote to that, and I want to be doing a lot more technique-based stuff. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm working on at the moment before I go back out there.
And you're in the right place with our boy Reece, aren't you? Because slick as they come.
Yeah.
But anyway, mate, really appreciate you doing this, mate.
Yes,
we'll put all the descriptions below of how to reach Patrick and his supplement company and all that kind of stuff. But until that time, squeeze the neck. Bosh. Nice one. Thanks a lot.